I'm Frank J. Kenny. I'm a former Chamber of Commerce president and CEO. I guess you could say our claim to fame of our chamber was we were one of the first chambers in the nation to jump into social media back in the day before anybody really even heard of it, before any of our board members knew what it was. But within 18 months, we had doubled the size of our chamber, and it wouldn't have happened without social media strategies. That success there with social media for chambers has allowed me to now, all I do is travel the state and the country talking about social media for chambers, and that's what I'm going to cover today, along with non-dues revenue. Here I was last week in Abilene, Texas, in August in Texas. I'm going to have to rethink that one for next year. Very hot in August in Texas. So I'm a faculty member of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Institute program. I have my MBA. I'm a member of both ACCE and WACE. Of course, today I'm going to share social media strategies for non-dues revenue, especially through chamber trips. But I've also written a book on social media for chambers, which is free for you to download from my website, which I will give you at the end of the presentation. And then today I'm going to cover insights that I've learned in a recent social media survey on chamber trips that I put together. And I do these presentations on all facets of chambers, on non-dues revenue, membership, retention. Today is non-dues revenue through chamber trips. So I've partnered here today, glad to partner with Indus Travel. I've worked with Harish. I met him face-to-face when I was speaking at the Chamber Alliance of New York State not too long ago. And when I looked around all the various companies to partner with on explaining all of this, Indus Travel rose to the top. I like that they've got 10 years of experience. I like that they're a Canadian company, a U.S. or a North American company, headquartered not too far from me up in British Columbia. They're a member of the Consumer Protection BC, which basically means that all the monies that they raise through doing these chamber trips stay in trust until the travel is complete. I like that they're licensed through California also. We all know how hard it can be to deal with the licensing in California. If you can get licensed in California, you can get licensed anywhere. I also like that they're a big enough company that they're basically worldwide. They go everywhere in the world. But they're also small enough that if you pick up the phone and call, you will talk to one of their principals. And I like that they're family-owned. In the upper right there, you can see that they sponsored the ACCE convention a couple of years ago. They've sponsored KCCE. They're in the Chamber of Commerce industry. So partnered with Indus on this. They're covering the expenses. I really like here that Indus, if you look down here, Indus Travels has been officially acknowledged again as the best tour operator in India from the Americas for the 4th time in 5 years. That is the president of India right there, and here's the tourism minister. I mean, very solid company. I like that they give back to the community. $11,000 to the BC Cancer Fund, $13,000 to the Heart and Stroke Foundation. So part of the community. As I said earlier, they basically all the destinations, major travel destinations around the world. And this is the screenshot from their website. And you can see at the top, that list goes on and on. It's way beyond just those countries. So if this is your first introduction to Indus Travels, if you haven't seen them when you've gone to the national chamber conferences or your state chamber conference, they are definitely immersed in the Chamber of Commerce industry. This is their expertise. A little bit of housekeeping before I jump right into non-dues revenue here through these chamber trips. For your opportunity, for your chance to win this trip to Dubai that is courtesy of Indus Travels, you need to stay to the end of the webinar, and then the software sometime thereafter the webinar will send Indus the list of who stayed, and from there they will pick the winner, and that person will be notified. So that's how that works. I want to clarify here that I'm not being paid a commission on whether you choose to travel with Indus or SitsLink or any of the other fine firms that are in this space doing this for chambers. Where I earn my income is speaking at chamber events for state and national chambers, and helping organizations such as chambers and their members do social media. So I have friends, and I've dealt with SITSLink and ABC, Chamber Discoveries, Chamber Explorations, Colette, and there's more. I basically know all of these people from being in the industry for these years. They're all good companies, but today's is sponsored by Indus Travel. I mentioned SITSLink here. I was just in China through SITSLink and ACCE with a group of 35 chamber professionals, and had an amazing time. It's an incredible opportunity to network with fellow chamber people and see the amazing sites. They treated us, of course, which they do on all these trips, to 4- and 5-star hotels and fine restaurants and amazing tours. Really, it is a very, very enjoyable time where you learn a lot about the culture and you get to know people. And of course, they took us to many business events. Here was a banquet, and they took us to the consulate so we could learn how to do business in China. They took us to various other things. So there is a whole lot of culture, but there is a business mix. Every trip is different, so you'll have to look at the itinerary, but it really was a trip of a lifetime. So let's jump right into this now, and let's talk about what's in it for you. I did a survey of my list of chambers that I've dealt with, people that have downloaded my chamber books or subscribed to my Chamber of Commerce blog and newsletter, to my chamber groups, all of this. I asked them basically, what would be the most benefit to your chamber, board, and membership if you did a chamber trip, or if you are already doing chamber trips, why are you doing this? And you can see there at the top line, the additional source of non-dues revenue at 94.9% was the reason why chambers do these trips. So clearly that is the main reason for doing a chamber trip. It is, you could use some non-dues revenue, which just about every chamber in the country could use some additional non-dues revenue. And then there's a list there of other benefits that chambers experience from offering these trips. I will get into those as we go along, but let me talk more here about the non-dues revenue specifically. Responses to the questionnaire included, the question was something to the effect of, was the trip worthwhile? Did you have a good time? Would you do it again? And this one was, yes, great experience, added revenues. You're going to hear that again and again and again. It was great. Trips themselves were quality, visibility in the community, substantial amount of money for the chamber. That's generally, you're going to hear that a lot. And it's not a bad side effect of camaraderie among our members. That's onboarding. Here's another response. We have continued to offer trips each year since 2009. Benefits, non-dues revenue, and of course networking and exposure to non-members, because you can get members from doing these. Matter of fact, that's what this chamber here said. We gain members who got to know us better. And positive, we'll do it again. And then here, but this is it. Primarily see it as a non-dues revenue generator. So please come at it from, at least from my experience, come at it from that angle and make that your focus. I asked in the survey, has all these chambers, have you done a trip? And only about a third of chambers have done these trips. That leaves, it's a big market for Indus and these other travel companies, because chambers, of course, do need these revenues. But, it's still fairly new. It's only been around 10, 15 years from what I understand. So don't feel bad if your chamber hasn't offered these trips yet, because it's just a new source of non-dues revenue for chambers. But I also asked my business owners on my list, if a local chamber offered an international group trip, and these are key, at a great rate to an excellent destination, would you consider going? And 77% said, yeah, I'd consider going. So the market is clearly there. People want to go. People want to explore trips, international travel. If you get a great destination at a great rate, you've got customers. So let's talk specifics here on this non-dues revenue potential. This chamber responded to the survey with, we took 50 individuals representing our members, and this is key, members of the state legislature, friends, family. So it's not just your members. It's other people that you want to invite. This is a chamber that decided to make this something a little more politically driven. Yours doesn't have to be that way at all. but just know that it's not just going to be your members. It's going to be prospective members. It's going to be other people in the community. It's going to be their friends, their family. So it's not just taking members. You're taking your community. And they went on to say it was extremely worthwhile. Yes, would do it again. Gave us an opportunity to take the lead on providing, it's just leadership's always a good thing. Put the chamber in a very good spotlight. This chamber said our experience was excellent in both China and Ireland, so you can do more than one trip. For 2013, they're doing Netherlands and Belgium, so more exotic locations. It is up to you on where you where your community wants to go. You could even do a survey of your members in the community and say, where would you like to go, and use that as a basis for deciding, are we doing China, or are we doing Ireland, or are we going to do Netherlands, Belgium, and the list goes on and on and on. So this chamber, we will do it again, and we plan to offer 2 trips per year. Main benefit, non-dues revenue. Okay. So here's some specifics. The Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, I knew that they were using Indus. I gave them a call. I interviewed them. They brought in about $60,000 in royalties over the past 3 trips. Seattle Chamber isn't a giant chamber. It's a good-sized metropolitan chamber, but it is not a behemoth-sized chamber. That's then $60,000 is nothing to be sneezed at. The Denver Chamber, $25,000 in non-dues revenue. How this works, at least with Indus, is no minimums. You don't have to guarantee a minimum. The commission is $250, or the royalty is probably the more correct word. The royalty is $250 per traveler. So even with just 20 passengers out of your membership and people in the community and their friends, you're talking $5,000 in non-dues. So a nice number that you should consider. And then also another kind of a bonus to this whole thing is that at least with Indus, you get to travel along for every 35 passengers, get a free trip. And it's really nice to have somebody from staff traveling along with these members and non-members, striking up relationships. You're spending a lot of time together doing these the tourist and the business events. You really get a chance to develop and build relationships. So somebody should really consider going along. It's a nice thing to do. What this chamber here answered with, they're taking 2 groups totaling 165 people to China. If you can do the math there, I mean, we're talking serious non-dues revenue if you get that kind of response. They're going to Peru in 2013. Just, I don't know. I don't see how a chamber can entirely, if you need the non-dues revenue, this is something you need to consider. I had a great time in China. I believe in these trips, so there's that. So what are those other benefits? The additional benefit of membership is just we all need more members nowadays. If it happens to be that somebody looking to join the chamber sees that your chamber does offer international chamber trips, it makes your chamber look more worldly, that you're doing bigger things. You're not just entirely focused on the community, but you're a big thinking chamber. Well, that could be just what it takes to get that new member or to retain a member. A lot of the responses talked about the networking opportunities as being very important. Almost 60% of chambers said that that was a big benefit. If you were to do a Google search for chambers offering these chamber trips, you would come across a lot of newspaper stories. The press picks up on this because it is newsworthy that the chamber is taking 50 people from the local community to India or China or Italy, what have you. You will see that you will get good press. Several chambers mentioned that gain new members. That's always important, as is retention. These things are built around relationships, and then of course the staff traveling along is a nice bonus. So those are your big benefits that the survey results returned. So if these things, if it seems like such a no-brainer, why aren't all the chambers in the country doing it? And it's because they have concerns. So let's talk about the concerns here. I heard again and again and again that staff time is a concern. Of course, we're all crazy busy. A lot of chambers said they thought they have very little member interest. They wouldn't get enough people to go, or that their market, the community was small, or maybe their neighboring chamber is already doing it and sucking all the oxygen out of the air on this. So I'm going to discuss that. I'm going to discuss some chambers said it's just not in. How do I justify this? It's not in our business model to do a tourism trip. And then some chambers had an issue with a member that is in the travel business or a travel agent and using somebody from outside, so I'll discuss that. And then some chambers thought these trips were priced too expensively, so I'll address that. So let's talk staff time first. Just, clearly this will take some work on your part of the chamber. Just like all things in life, if you think you are going to get a huge reward with very little investment, that's just not how life works. So be knowledgeable up front that yes, this is going to take some work, but consider these facts. You get to select the date of the trip. So you get to look at your calendar, see when you aren't having one of your major events. I mean, if you schedule the sales and the promotion of your chamber trip at the exact time of your largest yearly event, then that's going to be too much. You get to schedule this as it fits the chamber's schedule. You also get to select the destination because, as the saying goes, you've seen one chamber, you have seen one chamber. Some chambers will do well, get a lot of people that want to go to China. Others will be India. Some others will be the Middle East. Some will be South America. Again, it'd be a good idea to survey your members, survey the community, see where the interest lies, and let that help you. And plus, the people at Indus Travel can tell you where the demand is. What's popular, what's hot. So you get to select your destination. Then Indus does a lot of the work here, things like booking the hotels and blocking the hotels, blocking out the airline seats, creating the itinerary on the different things to do each morning, afternoon, and night. All of that is on Indus. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. That's what they get paid for. So they take that huge chunk of work off your hands. And they also create the marketing materials for you. And they do this for chambers all across the United States and Canada, and they know what works and what hasn't worked. And so they take that part off your hands or help you. You can do your own, of course, but it's awful nice to start with a template. Your role is to do what chambers do in so many other things, is to promote the trip that your chamber is going on, that your chamber is organizing. Promote that to your members and promote it to the community. And this is what chambers do with all their events. Everything the chamber does, getting the word out through our e-blasts and our website and social media and all of this is what chambers excel at, and that's why this business model, the chamber trips, works so well as a non-dues revenue generator. Your role would be to collect the deposits because you have the relationship with your members. They will make a deposit to you, you'll collect those, and then every couple of weeks forward them on to Indus, and then at the end of the trip collect the final payments. All of this can take, you should schedule 60 to 90 days for all this. It's another good point on staff time here is this isn't something that you have to cram into 2 weeks. The people going on the trip are going to need some notice, and it's good if you can get tell them 9 months in advance where you're going to be going, and then it's not a scramble to make this happen. It's a strategy. It's something that's worked out over time. You follow the guidelines. Now, when I was talking to Seattle Chamber and some of the other chambers, these are some points that I learned here about how you should think about how this works here. Realize that the majority of your travelers aren't even going to be members. And that's really a great thing because if you're a smaller chamber, say you only have 300 members, yeah, you'll get some of those 300. But your community is, say, 5,000 people. Well, that's the market. It's a pretty big number. And so the majority of your travels are not members, but they're prospective members. And you're going to get time. You're going to have time to spend with them if you go along on the trip, and they're going to get time to know each other. You have every opportunity to gain new members from doing these. And then it turns out that people do these trips again and again and again. And so, you know, one year they'll go to Italy, and the next year they'll go to Spain or China or what have you. You're developing a list of travelers that will become your VIPs. So make sure you keep a list of who goes and stay in contact with them. Let them know what your up and coming trips are. And what you're going to find here is that a lot of these seats are practically pre-sold. And then, as I mentioned before, give yourself, 6 months for planning and sales here. It's a 9-month cycle in total, so it's not you're not totally under the gun right from the get-go. Let's talk about the ways that chambers do promote these things. This is what the survey results showed on, and you'll notice here I asked specifically, how have you successfully marketed your chamber trips? 92% said email the membership, something that chambers are great at. Hopefully you're using a service like Constant Contact, or Constant Contact is free for chambers, so I suggest you do look into Constant Contact for your email blasts. But just add that you're doing a chamber trip to your normal communications with your members, and you will start getting people signing up to go. So that's your main thing. And of course you'd want a web page built. A template could be provided by Indus, or you could create one yourself if you're using a blogging platform. Without regard to all of that, of course you're going to have a website that would be shareable on the social media sites and that sort of thing. If you have a printed newsletter or you do inserts, it's really a no-brainer to add a very nice insert and get that in front of your members and people in the community. Social media, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes here as we get farther along in the presentation. 59% of chambers are now saying that they are successfully marketing their chamber trips through social media. And that's my area of expertise, is how to allow your members and the people of the community to spread the word about what the chamber is doing. What's the chamber's story? The chamber's going on this trip. It shouldn't just be the chamber telling the community that they're going on the trip. Allow your members to say, on the social media through the platforms that they are going on the trip, or this trip sounds exciting, and allow people of the community to start spreading the word and creating that buzz. I'm gonna show you several examples of that in a few minutes here. And then of course put a press release out to the local media, because this is newsworthy, and it's still a good thing today to get whatever press you can. You notice what's not on this list here is running newspaper ads, the expense of that, or running TV, or running radio. All those things that would cost you additional money for promotion, very few people, less than 50%, said that was successful for them. These are the ones, and all of them are basically what you're doing already, were the successful methods. So let's knock down or talk about a few of these other concerns that I heard, and how Indus works here. First of all, any size chamber can participate. So don't think that there's some arbitrary number that your chamber has to guarantee or something like that. Indus will work with any size chamber. And again, it's going to be partly chamber members going, which is great. You'd love your board members to go, other A-listers on the social circuit of your community, all going together on a chamber trip, having 10 days away from the community, but sponsored by the chamber, doing something exotic, and then coming back and having all this buzz in the community about how much they enjoyed it, and that the chamber's associated with that buzz. That's golden. But it won't be just chamber members. Other people from the community that could become chamber members, or that it would just be good to get to know these people that like to do international travel and explore the world. Maybe they're bigger thinkers, that they want to go to Peru, and they want to go to Israel, or what have you. And again, the numbers, I already talked about that. Even 20 passengers translates into $5,000 for your chamber and a staff member. It's good for the staff member to be along, improves their visibility in the community, improves their relationships, and it makes you think bigger once you've traveled the world. This is what this chamber said, that they've not yet taken a trip. So this is their first trip is scheduled for November. They have 20 signed up and paid. Very easy program to administer, and they can't answer the rest of the questions because they've never done a trip. But good feedback there. And again, There's no risk here to the chamber. Indus does all the commitments. What about if the concern is your business model? How do you justify a tourism trip? Well, this is what the Long Beach, California Chamber does, and they do a lot of these trips, and it's a substantial source of non-dues revenue for them. These are trade missions to them. The idea is here that yeah, you're going to see the sights, and yeah, you're going to be wined and dined and stay at these fancy resorts in exotic locations, but you're also going to do some business. I know when I was in China, we went to several government functions, and they really treated us as dignitaries. You know, we were all from America. We were Chamber of Commerce related, and they sat us up in front when they were doing announcements of economic development programs and things of this nature. So absolutely, we did have a business component. And then here we were in front of private businesses over in China. We were even in front of the embassy, the American embassy over there on a class on how to do business in China. So, you know, it's really up to you how you want to promote these and market these. If you are concerned that, you know, that some members will be skeptical about why are you doing a trip to Peru, it's a trade mission. These countries, all countries in the world, want to do business with the United States and vice versa. It's a trade mission. This chamber said, you know, we participated in a Western Canadian trip to China. It was worthwhile, and yes, they'd do it again. But here's the important part. Some of us have still retained connections with business people we met while there. You know, and then the insights into the culture was invaluable. And I can attest to that also. I made friends while I was there, and I really learned a lot about China. A big city in China is 18 million people, you know, Beijing, Shanghai. A smaller city, a medium city, is 8 or 10 million people, Hangzhou. So, I mean, it really opens your eyes. It's good, valuable, and you save just a ton of money. I really don't know how I could have traveled along for any less. They 4- and 5-star resort hotels every night. Meals at fine restaurants most every night, and meals in the hotel, American meals every morning, and tours and tour guides and buses, the airfare from LA all the way to China, all of that for a ridiculously small sum if I was to price it independently, I'm sure. So anyway, right, you know, what Indus told me was 20 to 25% off market value. I believe it's probably substantially more than that if you try to do this yourself. About the member issue, if you have a member that does, you know, a travel agent that says, why aren't you using me? I understand that concern. What I would do is I pulled this from the Indus website. They are professional travel planners. The tours are designed and run by us. And yes, your travel agent in your town might be great, but do they really have people on the ground in these various countries? Is this what they do for a living, setting up tours? Do you really want to send 50 of your members, trust 50 of your members traveling? You know, you might love your travel agent, but is it their area of expertise? Is it their tour, or are they selling other companies' tours and they're kind of just out of the loop on, you know, some of these things? With Indus, and I bet the other companies, but certainly with Indus, they join your chamber. So they are a member. So you have that. And then they customize. Most of their trips are customized based on your needs. So it's not a package deal to where you take it or leave it, or you can't customize it. With these guys, you customize it, and then they have their own network of offices and teams in the destinations, which is really nice to know that the people are there if you need them because they have offices there, they have teams there. And then because they have these offices and teams, they get really good prices and then pass on the savings. That's why these trips are so relatively inexpensive. And the tours and the guides, I can tell you when we were in China, it was invaluable to have these tours and guides take us around and tell us the history and be there for us and make sure that they're getting us in the right place at the right time. I'm sure I learned 5 times as much by having tour guides versus if I was trying to do it from a book or without anything. So you want that. Again, you know, this is direct from Praveen Sayal. He was the person in those pictures getting the awards and making those donations. They don't put any financial risk for the chamber on this at all. One of the people said, you know, was your chamber experience beneficial? Was it worthwhile? Would you do it again? And they basically said it was moderately successful. So maybe they didn't hit it out of the park, but they certainly brought in some non-dues revenue, but no downside. So yes, they will do it again. And you know, and it's a major, you know, cost savings because you save so much money for your members on these trips. If you want to talk to somebody that has dealt with Indus Travel directly, sent members of her chamber on these trips, this is the contact information for Jody Perry. She's an IOM, President and CEO of the Greece New York Chamber of Commerce. She's the one that invited me to speak at the Chamber Alliance in New York State annual chamber convention on social media for chambers. She has said that she would be happy to speak with you about the experience they had on the trip with Indus, and there's her contact information. So there's your person that sits in the same seat as you do, and you can get from her. And I met Harish there in New York because they were working with that state association. All right, so let's switch gears here to the social media aspect. Again, when I ask, you know, how have you successfully marketed these trips, every one of these things has a social media component. What you want to turn your members into salespeople for you, and you're going to want to use social media. This is a new statistic, new slide out from IBM, and they looked at a 3 to 5 year prediction, you know, today versus 3 to 5 years, on the most utilized methods for customer-member interaction. And what they found was face-to-face is going to decline, and we know that. People are getting so busy. Phone calls are declining. People are doing text messages. Traditional media is just falling off the cliff practically. It's traditional media will not be the same 3 to 5 years from now as it is today, and I think we all realize that. But look at social media, increasing by 256% in the next 3 to 5 years, according to IBM's study. And so we probably have seen nothing yet, and that's my feeling on it. Social media is big and getting bigger. It is more revolutionary than the invention of TV. It is as big as the printing press as a phenomenon. So how do we get this word of mouth through social media? How do we help our members become our salespeople? Well, I think you have to consider this fact. And this is from the National Speaker Association founder said this 50 years ago, and it's just as true today. 95% of people are imitators or followers, not initiators. It basically means that people don't have time to do their own research on everything. They don't have time to become experts. We have to trust and rely on our family and friends if we need to do something. I was just thinking as an example of this, if I needed to re-insulate my house, I am not going to become an expert on insulation. I do not have time. But you know what? My brother-in-law has built many houses. He's building a commercial building right now. I ask him, he's going to tell me, RJ35 or whatever that is for installation. And pretty much he's done all my work for me. That's the world we live in now. We're all so busy. Even when it comes to other things, we just rely, we imitate, we follow. That's the nature of things. And since that is true, to finish out this quote, then this is true. People are persuaded more by the actions of others than any proof we can offer. So in your chamber, you might have the proof that you have the funnest chamber, but if you tell people we're the funnest chamber, it kind of comes off as self-serving or advertising, or of course you're going to say you're a fun chamber. Or if you said that your chamber has the most powerful influence on government and this sort of thing. If you say it yourself, that's kind of like advertising, and advertising doesn't work as well anymore. But what works is if your members start saying that it's the funnest chamber, or those guys can really make things happen. So consider that what you want is to use that fact. And only 14% of people trust advertisements. So when you start marketing this chamber trip, yes, use your website, use your social media, all these kind of things. But what you're really going to want to do is allow your members to start spreading the word of mouth. And this is kind of how it works here. Nielsen did a study, and they said in advertising today, where do you have some degree of trust? And again, it's recommendations from people known are 90% trusted. I mean, we just basically go with it when a family member or a good friend that knows what they're talking about recommends something to us. We give them the benefit of the doubt. But we also give just consumer opinions posted online. Strangers, 70% of the time, the benefit of the doubt. We have advertisers, 14%. But when it comes from our members or even people in the community, 70%. This trend is so strong now that before people will make a dining choice, say you're going to try out a new fine restaurant, people have told you to go into the city and try out a restaurant, chances are you're going to go online and see what the ratings and reviews are. It's 78% of the time people have said that online reviews now have impacted dining choice. 87%, I speak a lot in the tourism industry, resorts and these tourist destinations. Before people will stay at a fancy resort, you're going online and you're going to look at the ratings and reviews on TripAdvisor and OpenTable and Yelp and these sort of things. Well, what do you think it would be for a chamber trip to Ireland or to Italy or Spain or what have you? I mean, we're talking, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for these things. People are now going to want to know what others who have been on the trip think, or what the general assessment is of the community and things of this nature. What you want is that third party, the other members of the chamber, members of the community, to use social media to spread the word about what you're doing. Let me give you some examples of how this is being done successfully. This chamber comes back from a trip and they facilitate the postings of, how was the trip? Did you have a good time? And here were the responses. Wow, fantastic trip. So Karen's friends get to see this, and she carries the credibility. Of course, the chamber's going to say the trip was great. What you want is the people that were on the trip or the people that are looking forward to the trip. Here, this Wendy says, my daughter and I had a fantastic time. It was made better by the group of people we were with. And just a total, that is beautiful as a sales piece for the chamber. China was awesome, wonderful people. It was a great trip. All the credibility in the world to their friends and to strangers in the community that are seeing these posts. Here's another chamber, the Northumberland chamber, that just did a teaser. It was great. Russia, with an incredibly gorgeous big photo on their Facebook wall. And then that's right, we're going to visit the history and architecture, Moscow and St. Petersburg. Watch for details, information, meeting very soon. So it's a teaser, and they got 5 likes, and they got a couple people commenting. And remember, with Facebook, if somebody likes or comments or shares, it has a chance to show up in the news feeds of their friends. And so beyond, it's great that the chamber did this, but what is golden is when it starts spreading virally. Virally might not be a perfect word because it's not going to spread all around the world. But when members and community members start saying, wow, this trip looks interesting, or has anybody gone on these sort of things? Check out this one. This is the Alabama's Women's Chamber of Commerce, and what they did is create an event on Facebook with the details, and so people can look it up and they could share it and things of that nature. But then they invited the various people in the community that they thought they would want to go. 23 said yes, we're going. 22 said maybe. Well, that's 55 different people to where it's going to show up in their friends' news feeds that they're basically endorsing and approving this trip that this chamber is putting on. So again, it's taking your members and allowing them to be salespeople for you because they have the credibility, they have the relationships, and it's 24/7, 365. Even when the chamber's not working, social media is working for you. Here's what the Hayward Chamber of Commerce did. They created their event, they put the details, in like you would do, then they invited their friends, and then got some likes and goings. But this, how about what Linda said? It's golden. My husband and I are very interested in China. I went on an Italy trip and loved it. Okay, so that's very, very powerful. What Bill said, I want to go to China, and then the chamber, a member of the chamber said, the staff person, that is great news, Bill, because we're expecting to make an announcement very soon that will make you happy. So again, it's the credibility of your members and the people in the community that they just carry more weight than you do nowadays, and that's just the fact of it. And it's a beautiful thing because chambers are in this sweet spot that we have the members, and everybody in the community is touched by one of our members. So we basically have the reach of a media company, and we just need to utilize the tools that we use every day anyways. Here's a chamber that did a chamber trip to Italy. They got back and posted the images, and then here come the comments. You know, it's beautiful, thanks for sharing, beautiful pics, questions about what part of Italy, you know, bringing people into the excitement of the trip. And if you missed out, you kind of feel kind of bad because we always want what we don't have. You know, the grass is always greener. If you don't do the first trip and then you see the pictures afterwards and all the comments by all these A-list social circuit people, your board members and all that went on the trip, when you do your second trip, now you have that as an asset. Of course, still do your newsletter and all that kind of thing. Here's a chamber group tour to Italy. You would copy and paste that into your Facebook wall posts from time to time. You'd blast that out on email, things of that nature. And I can help you do all of that. That's kind of one of the deals in the partnership I have with Indus, is that I will help their customers utilize social media so that they increase their non-dues revenue. Harish will talk more about that at the end. So I'm wrapping up my section here. I just want to reiterate this thing that Seth Godin said, and I paraphrased it a little bit, but this is social media, and it's perfect for chambers. You know, you turn strangers, people that don't know your chamber, you use social media to turn them into friends, to where they have warm fuzzies for the chamber because they know the chamber story. They see what the good the chamber is doing, that it's, you know, supporting the job creators and the people that donate to the chamber members that are doing fundraisers and all these kind of things, the nonprofits. All of that is visible now through social media. And those friends, once they like the chamber, they're much more likely to become members. And then once they're members and they see that the chamber is doing things like these chamber trips and your other events, allow them to be salespeople for you. And that's Seth Godin. If you want to read somebody that really understands social media, look up Seth Godin. Well, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for allowing me to share the results of my survey and how I see chambers using social media for additional non-dues revenue. I do these webinars on membership growth and all different aspects of chambers and how social media impacts the different things they do. Harish, would you mind taking over and sharing your slides?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Frank. Very nice presentation. I mean, you've really done it very well. You've not left any room for me to speak, but I'll still try to say something. On the right-hand side, there is a chat. So under the chat, you can actually type in any questions that you have. I have a very short presentation, 4 slides. So by that time I'm done. If you have any question answers, we will be glad to answer you. So a brief introduction about myself. My name is Harish Shroff. I'm the Business Development Manager for Indus Travel. I am the coordinator for the Chamber Group Travel. So I'm sure you must have received some email or phone calls from me, and you are most welcome to always get in touch with me to run these programs. As I already said, Frank has really covered a lot of things about this trip. I'm just going to briefly touch on that. So Indus Travel will assist you in doing these trips, these tours for your members. We have different kind of trips. The number 1 trip is this one, wherein we are covering countries which are the upcoming economies. That's the BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. So we really want to take you to these destinations because they are the emerging economies. And if you want to keep the business element in this, we can assist you in doing the business component. That's the buyer-seller meet, get you connected with the local chamber, try to help you to have some kind of meetings over there. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Other than that, also we have some other destinations. That's Egypt, Dubai, Ireland, Turkey. These are also good destinations, but little more on the leisure side. If you want to have a leisure as well as a day of business in this, we can do those also. So in simple, we can do various permutation combinations. Right now, Dubai is really doing good. We're having excellent feedback on the Dubai trips. Turkey is one of our upcoming destinations that is also really doing good. So all these destinations, wherever you want to take your members, be it just a business trip, be it just a normal trip, we can assist you with that. Yeah. Next slide. We also help chamber executives to go to these places, see these places, and work with us in promoting these destinations. So we time and again, we do keep coming up with various, these are called familiarization trips. Like this is the example. We have done it in the past. We've done one to Egypt, we've done one to India, and we keep doing to many other destinations. So definitely we want to encourage chamber executives to approach us to let us know what destinations they want to work with us, and if we can organize a familiarization trip for them, we would be more than glad to work on that. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So as I said, my introduction and talk about the program is very little. This is my last slide. We really want to work with you guys. Many of you are already working with us. So this is the right time and the promotional time for us to promote trips for 2013. So we are giving up 2 tools to you which you can actually use to promote these trips. The number one is, as you saw in most of the slides, Frank did tell you that we give 1 free on 35. But if you are signing up with us for any new trips from now up to September 15 to do any trips for 2013, we are willing to give you 1 free on 25. So you have a little less pressure to get 25 numbers and easily get 1 free. And also, we are giving you 2 hours of guidance and expertise of Frank to use his social media knowledge and his expertise to sell these travel programs on your website and through other things. And last is my contact details are here. My Vancouver office. I am based in Toronto. That's my Toronto number. I will definitely be in touch with you, or you can email me, mail@industravel.ca or harish@industravel.ca. So I want to really thank you all for giving this time of yours, listening to our presentation, and we really look forward to working with you guys. So Frank, thank you very much. This is all from my side, and